Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Rolling out the red carpet for hour number 3, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us. And it's also so important that we speak to the people that can answer some of your questions, some of our questions. And the guy we have with us on the line right now, he is the assistant sheriff here in Las Vegas. He has over 27 years of law enforcement experience with Las Vegas Metro Police. His name is Chris Jones. Chris, thank you so much for joining us, Sheriff. We appreciate you coming on. How are you?
We're doing very well. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, appreciate
Absolutely.
it. So I want to start with business enforcement. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? How are you handling some of these businesses that I would imagine some of them are still remaining open? How are you disciplining them, and how are you finding them? Are you getting tips from people? How is this working? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so pursuant to the governor's order, we've been working closely with city and county, their business licensing divisions within each entity. We are getting calls from the public. We are getting reports, from basically every direction, be it social media or over the phone or to our dispatch centers. And with respect to the enforcement part of it, our first step is to obviously contact the business, make them very aware of what the governor's orders are and what these mean and what essential businesses are. And so from there, most of it we turn over to the city and county business licensing, but we do have a special investigations section within our agency that deals with business licensing issues, and so that's the unit that's handling those within Metro right now.
So I'm a citizen, and I go to a restaurant to pick up food, let's say, Sheriff, and I noticed that the restaurant is not only open for takeout, but there are actually people dining in the restaurant. As a citizen, do you want me to call you guys and give you a tip? I mean, what would you say to citizens out there that see things like that?
Well, I would say, first off, if there's management nearby to maybe mention that, and we certainly don't want citizens taking things into their own hands, but, it may be just as simple as a conversation with the manager that, hey, this is one of those businesses that is supposed to be closed, and maybe they, for whatever reason, were not under that realization. But secondly, if that's not appropriate, then certainly you could call our 311 dispatch. It's not an emergency, but it's something we need to tend to, so it would be more appropriate for a 311 call. There's other ways to report it as well. You can do it to us through the internet, any type of way you would report a crime. This is nothing different. With that, once we get that information, or the city or county business licensing gets that information, like I said, we would go out to that establishment, make them aware of the order, and that they were not in compliance with that order, perhaps issue them a warning or even a citation if it was appropriate.
Okay, and what would a citation consist of exactly in a situation that Brian just described?
It would be a citation for against the order that the governor gave. So it would be basically not shutting down pursuant to the order that the governor issued.
Gotcha. Okay, so Sheriff, let's talk a little bit about some things that are up. Gun sales are obviously up in this state. Domestic violence and other crimes are up as well. Can you talk a little bit about that? I understand that obviously this is a very unique and difficult situation for everybody, including you guys, Sheriff. But talk to me about some of these crimes that are up right now that you guys are concerned about and the gun sales aspect to this.
Okay, first I'll address the crime issue. At this point, we have not seen that increase in domestic violence. Now, common sense and experience will tell you that when people are together more, there is a tendency for those crimes to increase, and we do anticipate that our domestic violence calls and our domestic disturbance calls will increase. With that anticipation, approximately 3 weeks ago, when we started to see this coming, we put in place a number of initiatives throughout our area commands. So basically, there are 10 area commands within the metro jurisdiction, and each of those captains was directed to, and they do have a domestic violence initiative in place. And so what that entails is not just the enforcement side of it, right? Because we understand people are in trying times and that tempers are a little high and that anxiety is high. So obviously we will address any criminal activity with respect to domestic violence, but beyond that, we wanted to make sure that our officers and that our area commanders were equipped with services and information on services to help people through these trying times. Because it may not be reflective of the people that were going on the call. It may just be reflective of the times that we're in. So those domestic violence initiatives are in place. We have a tremendous amount of resources here in the Valley that are still available to help people through these times, and certainly we will address it from a criminal perspective, but beyond that, we want it to not continue and to give people services that they may need. Now, with respect to your gun crimes or your gun buys, purchases, guns are not unlike other things that people are starting to buy for that security purpose, whether it be just a personal feeling of security or physical security. So we see people, seeking security and buying more toilet paper, more things that make them feel like they're prepared should they be in for a long-term shut-in. Guns are no different. It's something that people do tend to panic buy, and they buy it as a feeling of security as well.
Now, two questions for you. One, about how many Las Vegas police officers were designated to the Las Vegas Strip when it was fully operational?
Right. That has not changed. We have, out of Convention Center Area Command, we usually run around 220 officers out of that area command.
And so as of right now, how many of those are actually still on the Strip, and are some of those that aren't on the Strip, being sent to different parts of the city?
Yeah, many of those are still on the Strip. We still have those properties are immense, and certainly our private sector partners in the security industry and security with those properties are helping us to make sure that those properties remain safe. But there's other things that still need to be policed on the Strip. We need people to understand that area is for the most part shut down. We don't want that area or any part of the city to be victimized. But what we have done with respect to increasing our patrols in the strip malls and areas where businesses are shut down, we've taken resources from throughout our agency and we've sent them to those areas. And we try to do that strategically. So we have our analytics component looking at that daily to look for any trends, any commonalities, any areas where they start to see a rise in either residential or commercial burglaries or activity that would indicate to us that there's going to be an increase in burglaries in those areas. We have taken resources that are not critical to the violent crime mission, such as background investigators, training, people who are assigned to training. We've taken them and put them in those critical areas to ensure that not just the Strip, but the entire community remains safe.
If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Assistant Sheriff right here in Las Vegas, Chris Jones, and we really do appreciate his time. Okay, Sheriff, so there are a lot of myths, truths out there. There's a lot of rumors, so let's try to set the record straight here. There are other counties throughout the country where some officers have said that they're not going to arrest people for prostitution and certain other crimes. Is there any truth to that with what you guys are doing right here in Las Vegas?
Part of maintaining order and peace is to continue your efforts that we know work, and that is addressing those seemingly smaller crimes within our community before they become larger issues. So while we have given our officers increased discretion during this crisis, what we considered a crisis, we haven't specifically told them you will or you will not arrest for these individual crimes. We think it's important, and we have the best trained officers in the United States, and I'm a little bit biased, but I firmly believe that. And so what we do is we message to our officers the importance of the safety of our community, what we expect of them, and we also trust them. So with that, we give them discretion to say, given the circumstances and the things that the community is going through right now, I'm going to issue a citation rather than make an arrest, or I'm going to issue a warning rather than issue the citation. So we, as an agency, have not told our officers you will or you will not arrest for this or that. I'm not sure what other agencies are doing, but with respect to Metro, we have not done that.
With the government shut down and with the non-essential businesses including hotels and casinos and hundreds of thousands of people in Las Vegas being employed by those hotels and casinos, if the stimulus package does not get passed in the next 5 to 7 days, are you worried about possible public unrest, and do you have a plan in place to combat that if it were to take place in a place like Las Vegas where you have so many people who are already living paycheck to paycheck even before this took place?
Well, I mean, let me start out by answering that the Las Vegas community and the citizens of this city have been tremendously cooperative through this. And I think many people realize that this is not just Las Vegas who's being impacted. It's not just the United States, but this is a global issue. And so I can tell you that we haven't seen any of that. We always have a plan in place for any kind of civil unrest, civil disturbance. Our officers I go back to are some of the best trained officers in the United States. We have those plans in place absent this recent issue. So we certainly dust those off. We make sure that our officers are trained up to address any of those issues. We do look for indicators. Certainly I'm not an economist. I don't think it takes an economist to understand that this is not really looking good for the future, but we will come out of this, right? We know that there's an end in sight to this. We may not know exactly when, but we're prepared for anything that may happen. But as it stands right now, I think people are realizing we're all in this together. Eventually, we're going to get through this, and that those things at this point are just absolutely unnecessary.
Las Vegas Metro Police Assistant Sheriff Chris Jones joining us. I agree with what you just said, Sheriff. I think the majority of people, certainly in Las Vegas and throughout the country, for that matter, are cooperating. But I have to ask you this question. What would you say to some of those that are not cooperating? Let me give you an example, and I don't really want to call people out, but I will in this situation. There is a local strip club here in Las Vegas that is advertising drive-through lap dances, almost making a mockery of the coronavirus. People are dying, and this is a serious situation. I'm sure you would agree. What would you say to a business like that remains open, a strip club that is actually trying to take advantage of this sort of situation? What would you say to that?
Yeah, I think the best thing to say to that is, look, it's just this is not the time, right? This is a time not to be selfish. This is a time to think about your community that is why you're here to begin with, right? You would not have been here had you not had the support of the community before all of this occurred. And so if reasoning doesn't solve the issue, then fortunately we have other avenues where we can shut them down. We can suspend their business license until this is over, and that's not just for a few hours. They are under a privileged license, and if they don't start seeing it as a community-wide issue, then we certainly have an avenue to take with them, and we would. It's just inappropriate, and it's not the time for it. We would start off nicely, but if we do need to bring down the hammer, we could do that as well.
Yeah, and I appreciate that answer. Let me ask you this. This is a loaded question, Sheriff. But obviously, as you know, there's a lot of people in this community that are very scared, and you alluded to that earlier. It's why some people are buying guns or whatever the case to comfort themselves, really more than anything, I think. I want you now to speak to the locals here that are worried. They're scared. They don't know where they're going to get their next paycheck. They don't know about their health. Maybe they have family members that are elderly. Like I said, there's a lot of people that are very worried in this community. You're speaking to them right now. We have a large listenership. What would you say to those members of the community that are lawful citizens, but they're just really panicking?
Right. Those lawful citizens are good people, and they're going to continue to be good people and lawful citizens. What I would say is that this will pass. This is certainly something to be concerned about. And more importantly, if it's getting to the point to where they feel that, they're not able to deal with it, certainly mental health as a social issue is always a concern for us, but it's especially a concern during times like this. So I would encourage them to continue to band together, to continue to lean on all of those resources, family, friends, neighbors, maybe not literally, but
Sure.
but to continue to look to those support mechanisms that they have in place. And if they don't have those particular support mechanisms, to find them. There's, all types of hotlines. There's all types of resources. There's people standing by to help them. So if they are starting to lean toward, that point of breaking down, we have resources for them. What I would say to the community is we're part of the community. This police department is embedded with this community. We're part of the fabric of this community. And I think everybody's a little apprehensive right now. So let's work together. Let's be kind to each other. Most importantly, think about others in this time, not just oneself, and this will pass.
Sheriff, I just want to commend you and Metro Police. You guys are doing a fantastic job. We also do appreciate you taking some time to join us and speaking to our listeners. Thank you so much, Sheriff. We really do appreciate it. Keep up the great work, okay?
Okay, thank you for what you do. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Bye.
That is
thanks a lot, Sheriff.
Assistant Sheriff Chris Jones with Metro, 27 years of law enforcement experience answering those difficult questions. Listen, this is not just a difficult time for those of you maybe that are not, earning money right now or that maybe own a business. This is also difficult and unprecedented times for law enforcement officials. We're all in this together, right? This is difficult for everybody. I don't care what you do for a living. It's difficult for us, maybe not as difficult as others, but trust me, it's not so easy doing a radio show from your apartment either. But, listen, there's a lot of people that are going through tough times right now.
And it's good to find out exactly how well equipped the Las Vegas police force is, how they're ready for anything that could potentially happen under these circumstances.
All right, we'll open up the phone line, 702-257-5396. If you want to be a part of the program, give us a buzz, 702-257-5396. And your reaction to the sheriff that just came on with us, Assistant Sheriff of Metro, Chris Jones. We'll take a quick break, take your calls on the other side. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, K-Dawn. All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us. By the way, coming up here in a few minutes, we're going to be speaking with a local business owner who owns a pizza parlor. She's going to tell us her story. I mean, this is just one of many stories of how some of these local businesses are really struggling. But I want to read a quote from you from Dr. Fauci real quick, because I think this is very important. So we have the President of the United States who's saying he wants to get these businesses back up and running within a few weeks, not months. He's quoted as saying that in the last couple days. Here's what Dr. Fauci said. This is a medical expert who's been in this field forever. Dr. Fauci said, quote, "I cannot see that all of a sudden, next week or 2 weeks from now, it's going to be over. I don't think there's a chance of that. He's predicting Americans will likely need to stay at home for at least the next several weeks, and that is at a minimum." Now, again, this is not a politician. This is not a Democrat. This is Dr. Fauci that is making these statements. We have Liz Cheney. I want to read her tweet. She said, "There will be no normally functioning economy if our hospitals are overwhelmed, and thousands of Americans of all ages, including our doctors and nurses, lay dying because we failed to do what's necessary to stop the virus." I could not agree with her more. Well, and again, this is not the president. Now, we're talking about Dr. Fauci. So if the president thinks these businesses, and he said this over the last couple of days, he wants these businesses back up and running in weeks, not months, and you have the head doctor that has more experience than anyone when it comes to this sort of thing, saying basically there's no chance of that happening, that's a problem. I have a problem with that. And as Americans, you should have a problem with that. We all need to be on the same page here. Even if we disagree to an extent, the head doctor, Dr. Fauci, in charge of this virus and giving information to the American people, and the president on opposite ends of the spectrum, is a huge issue. It's a problem, regardless of who you agree with or disagree with. Regardless of whether you agree with the president or not, or Dr. Fauci, this is a huge issue, JD. It is a problem, and these people need to be on the same page. So it's either one or the other. You can make the argument, well, Dr. Fauci, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I would disagree with that. The guy is a professional, and he knows what he's talking about. Or you can make the case the president is just not listening to Dr. Fauci, and he cares more about the economy than what his doctors are saying. It's one or the other.
Again, I don't think he doesn't know what he's talking about. Obviously, he knows what he's talking about. Does he have any experience with a situation like this? No. Nobody does, Brian. There isn't one doctor on the universe right now, alive today, who has any experience with something like COVID-19. Because there hasn't, and this is their words, there hasn't been anything like it in 102 years.
So with that being the case, isn't it more important to be precautionary?
What Dr. Fauci doesn't understand is how much this can destroy the American economy.
You don't think he understands that?
I don't, actually, if it continues for several weeks. Donald Trump is saying Easter. Easter's 3 weeks. Several weeks is what, 4? Maybe 6? There's not a giant difference there, Brian. It's not like Trump is saying, hey, let's open up businesses tomorrow. He's saying, based on what I've seen, the American economy cannot afford to have this last more than 3 weeks. And I agree with him, also because, again, the risk is being mitigated at this point. You have new medication. You have possible treatments. You have more understanding of the virus. You have more N95 masks being made. You have more ICU beds open up. You have more ventilators being used. So the risk actually is going to go down significantly as this increases.
Well, you won't find
So
more.
I don't have a problem with what Trump is saying. And again, it's not. I mean, in fact, several weeks to me is 4 to 5 weeks. Fine, 1 or 2 weeks difference, not a huge deal. It's not like Fauci's saying this needs to happen for the next year or for the next 6 months.
I didn't say he said that.
Well, exactly. Well, several weeks and 3 weeks isn't a huge difference, Brian, because Trump is saying Easter, and Easter's 3 weeks away.
You have the President of the United States yesterday who was quoted as saying he'd like to reopen all this stuff within a few weeks. Hold on, let me finish.
Well, a few is 3.
Let me finish. A few weeks, not months. And then you have Dr. Fauci, who has made statements that it's impossible that that's going to take place. He basically said he doesn't see it happening in a few weeks.
Doesn't mean it's impossible. It means it's very unlikely, and he would be surprised if it happened. And surprises do happen.
Well, guess what? I will take the advice of a medical professional over Donald Trump any day of the week, period. And then you won't find a more staunch Republican than Liz Cheney, by the way. Never been a fan of the Cheneys, never will be a fan of the Cheneys. But even Liz Cheney is saying we are not going to have a functioning economy unless you take care of these starters with the doctors and nurses dying, because we failed to do what's necessary to stop the virus. I agree with her. I couldn't agree with her more. We need to attack this virus. We need to find out ways to think about. See, here's what you're not thinking about. You're not thinking about the hospitals. Do you understand the problem we have with the lack of ventilators?
Yeah, I know,
and the beds?
That's all being taken care of in the interim. It's happening right as we speak. New York City is opening up new places.
Okay, did
so
you listen,
to have
did you
patients
listen
actually,
to Governor Cuomo yesterday?
Yes, I listened to everything.
Did you
I know.
hear what he had to
I understand.
say? Do you understand how concerned he is?
And that's the worst situation in the country by a lot. The virus is spreading 5 times faster.
So you want to open up all
New
the
York
businesses
City
while the hospitals are overwhelmed
than everywhere else.
So you want to open
I'm not
up
saying
all,
that.
Listen, the Governor Cuomo, I'm going to listen to what he had to say. They have a huge problem in New York right now. Their hospitals are being overrun, and they're concerned a lot of people are going to die. They don't have the ventilators. We don't have the beds throughout the country. And you're telling me we want all these businesses to open up regardless of what our hospitals are going through. We'll take a break, and we'll address some of that when we come back. But coming up next, we'll be joined by, her name is Tanya. She's the owner of a restaurant, a local pizza parlor that we frequent probably a couple times a week, not anymore. It's called Bambino's. The trials and tribulations of one local business owner. She's one of thousands that are dealing with this in this town. But we want to hear her story coming up next. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON. All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us on a Tuesday. When we usually broadcast from our radio station, we love going to some of the local restaurants here in town, and a place that we frequent a lot, great pizza parlor. They're not a sponsor to our show. I'm just being honest. It's a great restaurant. It's called Bambino's. It's really literally right across the street from where we work. And the owner of Bambino's is joining us right now on the line. Tanya Guida is joining us. Guida, I apologize. Tanya, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing good, Tanya. I guess this is the first question I would ask. How is this affecting you? I mean, how is this affecting your business? It's not a huge business that you have, but a lot of people dine there, lunch, and and we go there all the time, and it's usually very busy. How is this affecting you guys over there?
It's affecting us pretty greatly right now. We obviously no longer have dine-ins, and we were a very popular lunch spot. So it's been difficult, but we still do have our loyal customers coming to us. It has hit us, so.
Yeah, no question. I mean, when this first happened, when news broke out that you had to shut down for in-dining anyway, I mean, what was the first thing that went through your mind as the owner of a restaurant?
The first thing that went through my mind was, hopefully we can get through this. Like I said, we have a lot of sit-down business, usually. So, and my waitresses do, live off tips and stuff, just like everybody else in this town. So I was worried about them, and I was worried about our own business, and it's just been a little stressful.
So how important is this upcoming stimulus package to you, considering the fact that you have your employees who are going to get probably paid, $1,200, something along those lines, as well as the $300 billion issued for small businesses like yourself? How important is this stimulus package, and will you be taking advantage of the SBA program?
It's very important. I mean, there are a lot of families in this city that, are living paycheck to paycheck. So the fact that we may all be getting something from the stimulus is great. And then as for the small business portion, I'm definitely going to be taking advantage of it because we need that to keep afloat.
What have you been hearing? I mean, because, we don't know any more than you do. But, I mean, we keep hearing that, well, maybe there's a chance that the governor might allow businesses to open in a few weeks. Maybe it won't be a month. As a business owner, what have you heard? I would imagine you have a lot of friends in this industry. Do you believe that, it'll be another at least 3 weeks before you're actually allowed people to dine in your restaurant? What are your thoughts on that, and what have you heard?
I do believe that it will probably be another 3 weeks. And that is a little scary, especially with people not being able to go to work and not being able to collect a paycheck. I do think that they'll be spending less and therefore won't, be able to come and get a pizza.
How important is it for people to still support, people like yourself, your business, for people that usually do dine in? How important is it for you to have those people still frequent your establishment in the next 3 weeks, just order food to go? I mean, how important is that for you? And my other question is, I don't know if you normally deliver, but are you delivering now?
We are delivering. You can call us or go online. We're on all of the delivery websites, and we have a delivery option on our own website. And it is very important for all small business restaurants like myself, for people to be ordering from us still, because without those orders, we'll go under.
Yeah, my favorite part about going to Bambino's is the very, very inexpensive but filling lunch special. For those who aren't familiar with your business and haven't been to your place, tell me, talk about your best item that someone should consider, ordering takeout. Okay.
One of our most popular items is going to be the Grandma Pizza. It's a thin crust pizza cooked in a pan, and it has a chunky tomato sauce and fresh basil on it. It's very popular and very delicious. We also have a couple specials. For lunch, we usually do a 2-slice special. You get 2 slices and a drink for $5.50 plus tax. And then we also have deals like a large cheese pizza and wings for $19.99.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be ordering some Bambinos right after the show.
Absolutely. I mean, if they're delivering, of course.
We will see you there after the show. I can tell you got a great restaurant there. The truth of it, Tanya, you guys are great. We love going there. People there are very friendly, and we wish you the best of luck. And we hope we all get through this, and we hope your business is able to stay afloat because of your product, because of how good it is. We have no doubt you guys are going to be okay. Tanya, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tanya.
All right. I promise that there you had it. You hear from one local business person that's worrying. You can hear the anxiety in her voice. You know that she's worried and she's scared, as we all are. We're taking your phone calls. I promised you I would get to all of them. A lot of people have been waiting patiently on hold. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Michelle. Michelle, you're first up here this segment on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Michelle?
Hi, guys. I just want to say that I would not hang on every single word that Dr. Fauci says just because he's a doctor, a scientist. Many people that are highly educated, they lack basic wisdom and common sense. And to keep the economy going, we got to count on people who are willing to get back out there, like the lieutenant governor, who said he's willing to risk his life to keep the American economy going. There are many people that are Americans that hate this country, and they want this country to collapse. They don't support.
Well, let me comment. Well, let me
If you're an
Michelle.
American, President Trump is your president.
Okay, Michelle, let me interject. Michelle,
we should be supporting
I get it.
American way of life. I don't
Michelle,
want
let me interject.
A sign out there
I hear you, Michelle.
Welcome to Las Venezuela. I don't want to see that. Do you?
Okay, no, I don't. Michelle, let me respond and hang on the line here. Let me respond. Hold on.
Really good call so far, by the way.
Let me respond. just because you criticize the president doesn't mean you hate the country. I love this country. There's no other country I'd rather live in this country. I love America. And let me be very clear. Regardless of my, some people would call it attacks or criticism, I want the president to succeed. I would want nothing better than the president to show a tremendous amount of leadership during this time, bring this country together, and conquer this.
Because he is.
Okay, that's where we disagree.
That are lasting more than an hour on a daily basis.
Okay, Michelle, that's where we 100.
That's a good point.
I appreciate the call, but that's where we disagree. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Dave. Dave, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Dave?
Hey, thank you for taking my call. Before I make a comment that probably makes somebody mad, I want to ask you, I got the Bambinos because I want to order from that cookie place, but I didn't get the name of that cookie place. Do you happen to have the name of that cookie place?
I'll tell you what we are going to do for you.
Earlier?
I'll tell you what we're going to do for you. My producer is getting you that information right now, so as soon as we get that, we will go ahead, Stein.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Go ahead, Stein.
Name of the place is Cakes, Cookies, and Creations.
There you go. It's out of Pahrump, my friend, okay?
They have a website. It's a very nice website. Cakes, Cookies, and Cookies, and Creations.
Pardon?
Cakes, Cookies, and Creations.
Yep, got it. And the other comment, and I don't mean to be negative when I say this, but it's easy to sit back, because I've got a job right now. I work in construction, so I've got a job, and I'm a safety person for construction. So it's going to be kind of almost an oxymoron what I'm going to say next, but if I didn't have a job, I would be a whole lot more concerned about how long I would go without work. So with all this being said,
no question, I agree with you.
And a valid question here is, a lot of people who are a high-risk group to this virus are most likely retired. There's probably not a lot of people who are 75, 80. I mean, the majority of deaths, especially like in a country like Italy, if you're over 80, you're about a 25% chance of dying of this virus. But in the United States, if you're over 85, I think it's 15.4%. But a lot of these people who are at high risk for this virus aren't really out in public a lot anyways. I mean, some are, but because a lot of them are retired.
Look, I think that what he was trying to say is, yes, he's blessed like we are, that we're able to work and continue to earn our paycheck.
We are, absolutely.
He's also absolutely right that there are a lot of people that are not so blessed, and they have a right to be concerned, and they have a right to be worried, and they have a right to want to get back to work. But again, we're going to have to listen to the professionals out there and what they're saying and the rule of law. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Gerald. Gerald, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Gerald?
I'm taking my call, guys. But Brian,
Sure.
What I want to say primarily is that regarding this thing about maybe after 3 weeks or the economy can't stand 3 weeks, if people are sick, the economy is going to crash anyway. So I think it would be best to listen to the doctors, possibly stay in for an appropriate amount of time, because from my understanding, we haven't even peaked them. So
I couldn't agree
really
more.
is a
Yeah,
common
you're right.
Issue. It's not so much
Yeah.
argumentative as it is common sense.
I think
and
you're
one
right.
other
Yeah.
comment I'd like to make, if it's okay.
Sure.
And that comment is in terms of having to defend or explain what the president means when he makes a statement. That's the most ludicrous thing, because I hear it all the time, and it's the one part of the program. I love your program. It's the one part I can't stand, because the president's a grown man. Who needs to explain every time somebody opens their mouth? And
You
to
just-
think of having to go through 4 more years of that.
And I do this a lot. What I do is I explain what the president said, and I
shouldn't have to do
no,
that.
But I explain my interpretation of it.
That's ridiculous.
No, how is that ridiculous? Why can't I have my own interpretation of what he said,
Okay,
and how
let's let the
I
caller-
think that what he's trying to convey is different than what he actually said? Why is that ridiculous?
Let's let the caller respond to that, because we both agree. I don't want. Go ahead.
But as an audience member, I don't need somebody to tell me what I've heard. I don't need their explanation as to what I've heard. And you basically don't let somebody even get a word in because you're so busy trying to get over. And it's a turnoff, because I didn't start that way. I love the program. I haven't been here quite a year. And I was so turned on to the program, I dropped TV. But I absolutely don't need somebody to explain to me what someone says or their interpretation.
I agree, especially when it's not. We're not even talking about a radio host. We're talking about the president of the United States and the leader of the free world. Show some leadership, and I'm tired of these people that always make excuses and say, "Well, here's what I think he was going to say. Here's what I think the president meant by that." No. I agree with you. I don't want to hear an explanation of, "Well, I think he meant to convey this." You're the president. Convey your thoughts. Do it crystal clear. And I'm tired of some Republicans out there that are trying to defend it and say, "Well, here's my interpretation." There's only one interpretation that we should have with the president. That's it. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. I believe Douglas is next. Douglas, what's going on?
What's up,
guys,
Douglas?
How you doing?
Good.
I called yesterday. This is very entertaining radio. You guys are doing a great job with that. Brian, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I get your dislike. I think a lot of the people you have an issue with is the platform they have when they make these statements.
Correct. Yes, sir.
And I'm going to quote, going back to the American president, when Michael J. Fox said, Donald, whatever Rumsfeld said, is the only one doing the talking. And that the same people aren't getting on the radio, that have the platforms to make good comments, good decisions. I mean, Dr. Fauci is one, but I mean, when you've got lieutenant governors from Texas, saying they'll risk their life for stuff, and the leader of this country on a platform making contradicting himself and making these claims. I mean, where do we find these rational people to come up and do the talking for us?
Well, I agree, and that's a very solid point that you make. Here's what I want, Douglas, and I think you'll agree with me on this. I want the actual, not politicians, I want the health professionals, the people that know what they're talking about, or at least know a lot more than Donald Trump. I want them to be in front of the camera a lot more than Donald Trump. I think this is an important time for this country. Listen, if Donald Trump showed more leadership, and I think if he was more crystal clear with his message, then I wouldn't have a problem with it. The problem is we have different ends of the spectrum from what Dr. Fauci has said over the last week, many of the things he said, and what the president has said, and that's where the issue is, and that is a point very well taken. I agree with you. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Carlos, who is next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead, Carlos.
What's up, Carlos?
5 quick points. Hi, guys. On Fauci, MDs make mistakes, too, to the tune of 250,000 people here on med-airs and other health practitioners. And shortages, we experience shortages. I've been in the business for 40 years. It could be certain meds, it could be dextrose, epinephrine. And when that hurricane hit Puerto Rico, we get all our IVs from there. We had a shortage of that, so it's nothing new. And on the economy end, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. I was selling a house here, and the people lost their jobs, and now they don't qualify. So I'm stuck with a house. Mm-hmm. And two of my son-in-laws, one in entertainment, one in the test site, are off of work. Right. So this thing is coming fast and hard. And
well, there's no question. I think, Carlos, the biggest issue here, and I think you'll agree with me, is that there's so many unanswered questions. And you said it. It's coming fast. It's coming hard. So is this the time where we should say, well, let's all just get back to work in a few weeks, not months? I just think it's the wrong messages that the president is conveying to us right now. I don't think right now we should be hearing the president saying, well, we need to get back to normalcy in a couple weeks, when you have doctors, professionals that are saying this is going to get worse before it gets better.
Doctors who don't have any experience
and Trump
with a virus like this, and they definitely have no experience with the economy. Trump definitely has a lot of experience with the economy, much more than a doctor does. Brian, there hasn't been a virus like this since 1918. That's 102 years.
I know you said that.
You're right. I have, and you keep saying that they have all this experience with it. That's why I keep responding to it.
They are doctors,
but they don't have experience with the economy. The president does.
The economy is not the number one priority right now. Hold on, let me finish. You know what the number one priority is? The safe and well-being as Americans. That's the number one priority. Then number two is the economy. I don't understand your point. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Roxanne. Roxanne, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
What's up, Roxanne?
Hey, guys. Calm it down a little. But anyway, I want to thank the precincts here. My daughter has 2 sandwich shops, and the local PD has totally backed us. They come in to get sandwiches every single day.
Well, that's nice to hear. What's your sandwich shop? What's the sandwich shop? Go ahead and plug it.
It's Wood Family Sandwiches. It's my daughter. She's a single mom with 2 babies, and she's struggling. And she's actually doing a dang good job, and Mom's out delivering her sandwiches.
And let me just say this, and stay on the line here for a second. First of all, thank you for what your daughter does and your family does. We are happy to plug local businesses. We're not asking for your money. Well, maybe a free piece of pizza. But no, in all seriousness.
Sandwich.
I'll take that. No, but in all seriousness, we are happy for local businesses to call into this show, tell their stories, and we are happy to plug their business because we want to help people on the show.
I love the local PD, the precincts that have really came in and ordered sandwiches still with us, and we have curbside delivery, and
That's
has
great.
a shop in Henderson. So
well, listen,
please,
you absolutely go frequent that business. We appreciate the call, and we want people to frequent that business.
Good call, Roxanne.
Just because you can't dine in a business doesn't mean you can't support a business. There's no law that says you can't get in your car, walk a few feet, drive to a local business, pick up a sandwich, and then drive back to your house. There's no law that says you can't do that. We can still support our businesses from home. We can still order things online. We can still get delivery. There are things you could do to help the economy and support our local businesses. We'll do our part. We'll try to plug as many businesses as we can on this show, and we are glad to do it. 257-5396. Let's go to Jimmy. Jimmy, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Jimmy?
Talk radio on Saturday between 2 and 4. And I said to the gentleman, the talk show host, I said, how can you vote for a guy that thinks he's running for Senate while he's running for president? And he hung up. He said to me, "You're a moron," and hung up on me.
Okay, well,
now,
let me respond, Jimmy.
Can I say something? Where is the talk in talk radio in that conversation?
Okay, let me respond, Jimmy, and stay on the line. I'm not going to hang up on you. It's a valid question. I think here's, and I don't speak for Doug Basham because that's what you're talking about, but in a time right now where we are in a huge crisis, I'm sure you would agree with that. People are scared. People are worried. We're talking about the coronavirus. At a time like that, if I take a phone call, and I'll just speak for myself, if I take a phone call and the comment is Joe Biden thinking he's running for the Senate rather than the president, my response to you would be, why the hell are you bringing something up like that at this time? And why is that your number one concern, calling into a radio station, talking about Joe Biden maybe misspeaking? Why is that your top concern right now? That is my response to you.
Can I answer?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
He's going to be the Democratic nominee, and you're talking about Trump.
I don't care who wins the right now, sir.
Joe
right now, I
Biden
don't care who wins the presidency.
Planet he's on.
All right, yeah. Bye. Okay, that guy is never going to call into our show again. Doug Basham was right in calling him a moron. You know, I gave him the respect of answering his stupid question, and then he disrespects us. That guy's never going to call into our show again. Never. There are idiots in the world, and he is one of them. When you call into a show and you want to talk about Joe Biden and you want to talk about maybe a gaffe that Joe Biden has, and then you swear at us on the program.
One of many gaffes, by the way, Brian.
Yeah.
So he has a lot of gaffes.
We have that guy's number. He'll never call into this show again. There are morons. Who cares about Joe Biden's gaffes right now? That shouldn't be on anybody's mind. I don't care who you are. You're okay, JD, with that guy calling in talking about Joe Biden? The guy's an idiot.
He didn't call our show. He called Doug Basham's show.
And then he called our show and
So what are
complained.
you talking about, Brian?
He called our show.
So who cares? He asked Doug Basham a question. Doug Basham, just like you, called him a moron.
Oh.
He didn't bring it up. He just brought up that particular situation
And
and said to him, that's not talk radio. That's all he said.
Okay, so I just...
And then you jumped on it.
No, I didn't. You're 100% wrong. I answered his question, and I said that at this time that we are living in, you should not be calling into a radio show and talking about a Joe Biden gaffe. There are other more important, and I answered his question.
So you're sticking up for Doug Basham's show. Then.
I'm answering it the way I want to answer it, and you're not listening to me.
So we're just giving we're giving Doug Basham's show a lot of free publicity.
You're the one who keep bringing up his name. Not me.
Isn't it coming on the show tomorrow, anyways?
Okay. Why? You're all over the place, man. The guy called up. I gave him my answer and my response. I think at these times that we're living in, I think that guy's a moron. He's an idiot. When you're thinking about Joe Biden and a gaffe that he has at a time when people are dying and we're at a serious crisis in this country and throughout the world, I think the guy is an idiot. And then he proves it by swearing at me on the air. Luckily, we have a 5-second delay, ladies and gentlemen. He swears at me on the air, calls me, says F you to me. Okay? Unfortunately, there are some dumb people in society.
He said you are an effing something.
Okay,
what's
the difference?
He used the word to emphasize his strong feelings towards whatever negative comment he had about you.
But you can continue to defend him. That's fine. Let's go to Kat. Kat, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Kat?
Kat, are you there? Did we lose Kat? 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, that number, 702-257-5396. Let's go back to Kat. Kat, what's on your mind? Kat? I think we lost Kat. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Richard. Richard, you're next on the Vegas
Hi.
Take.
Hey, what's up, Richard?
Hi. So I have an issue with this social distancing, and it's not being done. There's certain large projects going on in Las Vegas that are basically based around entertainment. And, for instance, the Raider Stadium job, the Resort World job, and you've got hundreds, if not thousands, of people going to work.
Yep.
And it's not essential. I know Sisolak calls it essential, but it's not essential.
You're right.
And you've got a lot of people still interacting, possibly spreading the disease. Now, if we stay at home, and it doesn't matter if it's the 15-day time frame or 3 months or however longer, we need the medicine. And without the medicine, it's not really doing much good staying home. What good does it do? It just keeps multiplying and spreading. Now, if people are allowed to go back to work as the medicine is released, then maybe we're going to start seeing cures taking place, but we can't bury our country in the process.
Well, I understand your concern. I think there's a happy medium, maybe not happy, but there's an uncomfortable medium that we can have between people going to work or not going to work and people taking care of themselves.
Brian, do you know what's going to happen if we're, say it's 3 months. Say we're all home for the next 3 months. We're looking at probably $8 trillion in stimulus packages. We're looking at the market probably it might hit 8,000. We're looking at it being set back, in my opinion, at least 10 years. The economy being set back 10 years. Yep. Now, how many people might die in that time frame? And now that's assuming that the death rates stay the same. That's assuming that there is no treatment in the interim, that there are that there's no increased ventilators, there's no increased ICU beds, there's no increased N95 masks. There's no way of stopping this virus from actually killing people when they are, in hospitals. That's assuming all those things aren't taking place, that it's actually getting worse and worse and worse. And we're not thinking about that. You're not thinking about the possible improvements in actually treating these people who are severe enough to be hospitalized. And you have to think about that when you think about, oh my gosh, should we be setting back our economy 10 years, but not considering the other factors in the process? So how do you not take that into consideration, Brian?
Well, we only have about 45 seconds to go. I'm looking at the clock, so I don't have enough time to answer that question, but I will say my number one priority is the people, not the economy. My number one priority is making sure people are healthy. My number one priority is making sure people aren't dying. My number one priority is making sure your behavior is doing exactly what doctors are telling you to do and stop. I'm not thinking about money. I'm not thinking about the economy. I'm not thinking about that as my number one priority. It should be a priority, but it's not the number one priority. The number one priority should be the health and well-being of the good people of Las Vegas, the good people of Nevada, the good people of this country and the world, and we got to go. So we are going to take a 21-hour break. Obviously, Sean Hannity's coming up next. We'll be at it bright and early tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. I appreciate all the phone calls, and I kind of like that. I think we will take some phone calls tomorrow and some more local businesses, your trials and tribulations, and we're happy to do our best to help you. Sean Hannity coming up next, everybody. Have a great day.